Now, in the NBA, the playoffs are on, and the Miami Heat will face the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals after both teams progressed from the first round of the playoffs. The Heat clinched a 128 to 126 overtime win in Game 5 to knock out the top-seeded Milwaukee Bucks. The Knicks eliminated the Cleveland Cavaliers with victory on Wednesday. Miami's Jimmy Butler, who had a record 56-point haul in Game 4, forced overtime by scoring with less than a second remaining in Game 5 and finished with 42 points. The 8th-seeded Heat overcame a 16-point deficit in the fourth quarter, while two-time most valuable player Giannis Antetokounmpo had 38 points for the Bucks. Monday, you've told me basketball is your favorite sport. What did you make of this roller coaster ride for the Miami Heat to beat the Bucks?
Indeed, it's a really roller coaster one. Miami Heat with the help of Jimmy Butler. It's been known as Jimmy Buckets, and we've seen a different Jimmy Butler. They also call him Playoffs Jimmy Butler. And for the first time in their NBA playoff history, an in-play team is actually winning a series in the playoffs. And when you talk about Jimmy Butler, you have to, of course, edit the greatest list because he has to be one of it. Only three players in NBA history have scored more points than Jimmy Butler in the space of a two-game playoff encounter. 98 points against the Milwaukee Bucks. It was a fantastic production right there. At the Deer, it happened at the home of the Milwaukee. And we've heard from Giannis Antetokounmpo, back-to-back MVP winner. He came out to say that, okay, there was a question by a particular journalist if he sees this as a failure in his career. He came out to say that, hey, this is not this is not what being a failure is all about. That they are going in the right step, and hopefully we get to see the Milwaukee Bucks back next season. But we are still talking about the playoffs, and it will be a frantic encounter when the Miami Heat take on New York Knicks. New York Knicks, they've got the best hands, the likes of Julius Randle, not forgetting Jalen Brunson, who's been an absolute revelation for the New York Knicks. Personally, I have a thing for the Madison Square Garden. I don't know. I just like the name of that particular square, and it happens to be one of the most prestigious square in the world when it comes to entertainment. Top music stars have hosted the event right there, and I would love to see again right there. But I think Jimmy Butler will still continue being Jimmy Butler. But when he takes on the likes of Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, it's certainly going to be a match in paradise. It's a game everyone should enjoy, I tell you.
Well, so where does the Milwaukee Bucks, where do they go from here now? They've gone from being champions to being considered for the last two seasons regular top-seeded team. And now they're out. They have to rebuild for next season. What are the potential improvements that can be made to get this team back to the level? Because obviously, if not for the Greek freak, we wouldn't even be having the conversation about them being an elite level team that is in the conversation for the NBA title. But they are. For the last couple of seasons, they have been in the conversation along with Los Angeles, along with Golden State. And now they're out. The New York Knicks are still in the building. They've beaten the Cavaliers. Where do Milwaukee go now? Where are the improvements to be made?
I think just one thing happened in game three. I think that was in game two. In game two, Giannis Antetokounmpo was on feet. And in a playoffs game, you need your talisman, you need your marquee man. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, over the years, has proven to be a man Milwaukee Bucks have trusted, even the fans, even the coaches. And he wasn't available in game two. And that's when the Miami Heat got an advantage. Jimmy Butler was the one running the show that night. I don't think there is anything particularly I can point out that the Milwaukee Bucks didn't do in the playoffs. They just need to ensure that their players are fit for big games. Their big games players are fit for big playoffs encounter such as this. And in sports, injuries are uncertainties, and they can happen to anyone at any time. You cannot really control that. But if Giannis Antetokounmpo was fit for the entirety of this playoffs encounter between the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, I think it would have been a story that would end in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. Congratulations for them. They were champions last time out for the first time in 50 years. They just have to ensure that players stay healthy because being top seed back to back seasons now, well, that's not a mean feat.
Well, let's talk about the New York Knicks very briefly. They got past the Cavaliers. I don't know if you saw the game. But ultimately now, they go up against a team that was strong enough and capable enough and absolutely clutch enough to beat Milwaukee Bucks in front of Milwaukee fans. Where will the game be won? Where will it be lost?
That's where the battle begins because we've seen one player for Miami Heat. I don't need to repeat his name, Jimmy Buckets. He could not stop being magical. But at the other end, we also have some great players. Obi Toppin actually is a Nigerian, and he plays for the New York Knicks, the likes of RJ Barrett. It can be on the nights where the younger players are stepping up to the plate. I'm not even mentioning Julius Randle and Bronson yet. I'm talking about RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and also B Toppin. I think the New York Knicks are more of a collective team. Someone can step up at any time, at any point in time. But when it comes to Miami Heat, all eyes is on Jimmy Butler, and he could easily be picked out. But
Well,
Jimmy Butler, I don't think anyone can mark him
I think we've
this
seen
season or guide him this season.
I think we've seen in the past how a team that has a lot of options can be all dominating. But at the same time, they can go up against a team that has one talisman, and that talisman is unstoppable. I'm speaking, of course, of the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard, who was unstoppable in the season that they won the championship, the title. We've seen in the past teams like Tony Parker's.
San Antonio Sports.
Yes, they had plenty of options. They could do a lot.
Steve Duncan.
But at the same time, they still had issues when they came up against teams like Lakers, who had Kobe Bryant doing all the work.
It happens that way, but I mean, when I talk about the New York Knicks having options and be more of a collective team, I mean, these are not stars. They're not stars. I mean, they're not ones that you can easily say, hey, this one is going to turn up. They better keep an eye on this one. But you know that when one team has one player who everyone is going to want to guard, if they do a double team marking or a double team guarding on Jimmy Butler, he might just have a bad night. So that's what I'm saying. For the likes of the New York Knicks, you don't know what to expect. I'm in support of the Miami Heat. I want to see them in the final. I mean, I can remember 2 seasons ago, I think in the 2020 season, it was the Miami Heat who lost to the Lakers in the finals, and it was very devastating. Jimmy Butler was also the man on the headlines once again, and he is getting back that particular performance, and I want him to crown that with a championship.
One day, unfortunately, we've lost all the time we have. Where did it all go? Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining me personally on the show on Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. It's a pleasure having you.
Plus TV is always a place to be, and I'm always available. Thank you so much for having me today.
Have a wonderful evening. And to everyone at home or at work, wherever you are catching the show, remember, life is never boring with some sports. I have been your host, Mikhail Tinubu. Do have a good evening.